story time! Chapter 2, The Bus Travellers. So sit back, kick your slippers off, and let's begin. As the bus swung into Trollton bus terminus, those in close proximity prepared for the usual deafening screech of the hydraulic system as it ground to a halt amid plumes of black smoke. Among the travellers were newcomers to Trollton. Begz and Hussy had travelled for days towards their destination of choice and were relieved to have finally reached it. An unlikely pairing, their blossoming bromance merely 6 months in the making, they both saw this move to Trollton as an exciting new chapter in their otherwise sad existence. Previously shunned and ignored by the general public, they hoped for better fortune and opportunities. Begz saw himself as a martyr to the cause. No one knew what cause that was, but Begz himself, and Hussy was happy to be led by such a beacon of light, no matter how dimly lit. Diminutive in size, Begz certainly seemed to suffer from little man syndrome. Secretly, he loathed any person taller in stature, which only fed into his paranoia and anger issues. He deemed everyone beneath him, when in reality he was way beneath them. Hussy was a huge chunk of a man, despite many attempts at losing weight, who had a penchant for wearing long, flowing, synthetic wigs of various colours and magnitudes. Now, Begz had the appearance of an unkempt homeless man whose hygiene monitor was set at 0, but appeared in Hussy's rose-coloured glasses as more than the bedraggled, antiquated man he actually was. The journey had been fraught for Hussy, laden with many a mishap en route. He had chosen a lilac wig, cut into a bob, for the journey, but it wasn't long before he started to regret his choice. He had favoured a pair of fake Gucci sunglasses, which he used to affix the wig to his head. Ordinarily, this way of wearing his wigs and glasses was sufficient, although rather ridiculous and highly amusing to others. But Hussy hadn't factored in the process of continual movement, heat, and Begz on the long journey. Due to high temperatures and constant sweating inside the bus, Hussy struggled to keep his sunglasses in place. They constantly slid down his bulbous nose, consequently loosening and unhitching the wig on his head. At one point, Hussy took off the insanely large sunglasses and put them in his lap. To his horror, Begz, who had been snuggled up beside him, his balding head on his shoulder, slumped over further, his head landing heavily in Hussy's lap. It was a disaster. "What the F?" Hussy screamed. Begz awoke from his slumber to find his head buried in Hussy's lap and a searing pain in his right ear. "What the F?" Begz screamed. He wasn't sure which was causing him more pain, the jab in the ear from a fake Gucci, or Hussy looking down at him with hamburger eyes and an incredibly askew lilac wig, with his naturally frizzy, corkscrewing grey hair escaping from the sides. It was time for the hapless pair to embark on their new adventure. As they shuffled along the narrow aisle of the bus, they were met with several looks of disapproval from fellow passengers. Most people abided by the disembarking instructions given by the bus driver, but Begz and Hussy had different ideas and had grabbed their luggage from the overhead lockers before the bus had ground to a halt. Now, being a short ass, Begz was unable to reach the lockers, so it was left to Hustle to retrieve their battered suitcases. In an attempt to assist Hustle, Begz stood on the arm of the nearest seat to give himself more chance of reaching the bags. The seat was occupied by an elderly woman who didn't take kindly to his behaviour. With as much force as she could muster, she swung her elbow sharply into Begz's right thigh, sending him flying backwards into the path of a departing passenger who happened to be a construction worker. With one flick of his muddy work boots, the man toe-punted Begz towards the front of the bus. "Oi!" screamed Begz. "What the F are you doing?" "Don't push your luck, you dumb vagabond." Or vagabond, that should have been. Retorted Mr. Construction Worker. The bus driver, who had taken an instant dislike to Begz when he had first stepped to foot his bus, watched as he was unceremoniously struggling to his feet. Begz, who was a perpetual victim, burst into tears in an attempt to garner sympathy. "Get off my friggin' bus, you snivelling little man!" Yeah, but, whimpered Begz. "Get off my friggin' bus before I get a hose to wash you down," yelled Mr. Bus Driver. Before Begz had a chance to reply, Mr. Construction Man was behind him, and with a sharp toe punt with his steel-cap boot sent him sprawling down the steps of the bus onto the weathered tarmac below. Hustle was horrified. Like a herd of wildebeest, he hurtled down the length of the bus, luggage in both hands swinging above the heads of other passengers. "This is a disaster!" he shouted.